Well, hello there and welcome back to Chef's Choice. 2 weeks ago you had the opportunity to send in some questions for me to answer. Only a few of you used this opportunity, but those who did sent in some really hard questions that are not easy to answer. But I'll try as good as I can. The first question comes from Yara, who asks, what are my favorite 3 songs of Eurovision, as well as in general? And already I'm having troubles to answer this, because I'm not someone that has their go-to favorite things of all times. Of course, I do like a lot of songs in Eurovision and in general, but I would never put them in an order. But here are 4 Eurovision songs of recent years that I did really enjoy. Zlata Ognjevich, Gravity, Ukraine 2013, Dilara Kazimova, Start a Fire, Azerbaijan 2014, Aminata, Love Injected, Latvia 2015, Hovi Star, Made of Stars, Israel 2016. Of course, some of the songs flopped a little with their performance. For just general songs outside the realm of Eurovision, it's even harder. I do like pop music in general, but it seems to me that the songs I enjoy the most often come from soundtracks in movies or TV series, and mostly they are quite sad songs that leave the biggest marks in my brain. So here are a few of them. Laura Izibor, If Tonight Is My Last, that I first heard in the series One Tree Hill. There's only one album by her, but I do recommend listening to it because basically every song on there is great. Then there's Missy Higgins with Where I Stood, that was used in One Tree Hill as well, but also in Grey's Anatomy, I think. Then there's Imogen Heap, Hide and Seek, that became a meme from OC California, but it appeared in quite a few series. If you like a kind of experimental electropop style, you might want to check out her albums as well, especially Speak For Yourself and Ellipse. Another one is Insomnia by IAMX from How to Get Away with Murder, and Alibi by The Strange Familiar from Pretty Little Liars. I will put links to the songs in the description below if you want to check them out. Also, as you can tell, I do watch a lot of TV, so if you'd like me to talk about my favorite TV series, leave a comment below. Then there's actually only 2 more questions that more or less are the same. Both Michelle Zenet and Evie Marie asked for my opinion about the juries and their votes at Eurovision and whether the system should be changed. Now, this is so hard and almost impossible to answer, but here's what I think. Obviously, the current system of jury votes is flawed. The juries were originally thought to counteract the potentially politically influenced televotes, but we all know that this doesn't work as well as it should, because the juries tend to vote for their allies and against their rivals just as much or sometimes even more than the televotes. But to me, political votes in the sense of voting for countries that are culturally closer to yours or that come from a shared history together is understandable and acceptable to a certain degree. If you had a chance to vote for a friend who participates in a casting show, you would probably do that as well. To me, it's worse not to vote for songs just because you dislike a country. But even that is understandable. What is far worse, though, than any political vote is strategic voting. And that is what some of the juries seem to be doing. Last year, we basically had 3 favorites before the grand final: Bulgaria, Italy and Portugal. Portugal got jury votes from 39 of the 41 possible countries, with 5 points being the lowest amount of jury points from Italy and no points from Bulgaria. On the other hand, Bulgaria also got jury votes from 38 countries, with 2 points being the lowest again from Italy and others, and no jury points at all from Portugal. Italy, as we all know, didn't end up as high as they were thought to, but again it's interesting to see that no jury points were given from Portugal and no points at all from Bulgaria. The televotes were a lot more realistic and fair, it seems. The same thing happened this year again, with Israel getting jury votes from most countries, excluding the other favorite Cyprus, and the same thing in return. On the other hand, Austria suddenly won the jury votes without anyone ever seeing Austria as a possible winner. Top 10, yes, top 5 maybe, but a winner? No. This to me are a few examples that the jury votes are far from impartial, which is the only thing that they should be, right? So what should we do? Should we throw the jury system in the trash and get back to only televotes? I don't think so, because there are flaws in the televoting system as well. If they keep the jury system as it is, though, I think there should be much stricter regulations on what their job is. What are they voting for? The most promising radio hit, the best composition, and who actually is competent enough to vote in a 5-head jury? Because those 5 votes count as much as the whole rest of the audience in that country. And reading the published list of jurors, it often seems questionable to what makes those people more suited to vote in a jury than you or me. So there need to be real rules and guidelines that are also transparent to the public, and they need to be controlled by the EBU. But what might be alternatives if the current system is faulty? Here are a few ideas. The jury could award points to each song individually for a few categories like voice competition, etc., instead of voting by making a ranking order of the songs, which they do now. Or the juries only vote for the studio versions of the songs, not the performances. That way it would be at least clearer what their job is. Or they could mix up the juries, like every country sends 5 jury members, but then the actual teams are mixed into 43 random juries. Or they should at least make the jury show public after the final, so we see what the juries have based their votes on. Or they vote directly after each song, like the juries in an ice skating contest. Or the 5 jury members should be voting separate from each other in different rooms, and maybe not even know who the other jurors are. Or each country nominates 10 jury members, but only the votes of a random selection of 5 members are counted in the end. There are so many possibilities, each coming with their own advantages and disadvantages, but to me it's obvious that there needs to be an improvement in the voting system. The past few years I always agreed with the winner in the end, but there have always been questionable results as well. But since I don't have any connection to the EBU and I don't think they'll be watching this video, I actually don't think the system will drastically change in the near future. All we can do as the public voters is to act as a counterweight to the juries, which I think we did pretty well in the past few years. But what do you think? Do any of my suggestions before make sense to you? Or are you completely happy with how things are now? Tell me in the comments below. For now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.